You're watching The Whole Living Show on Trajectory TV.
5 years ago, the Power of We Symposium was created to provide a platform for kids from all sectors where they could have a safe and comfortable environment in which to share both their joys and concerns. The Power of We Symposium is proud to have served over 250 kids throughout Romania when we took our mission global back in May of 2023. Now, 2 teams of amazing volunteers from both the U.S. and Romania embarked on an 8-day Legacy of Hope tour, bringing encouragement and hope to not only the kids of Romania, but also the adults who support them, and also to over 100 kids here in the U.S. who contributed handwritten letters of hope to our Romania mission of 2023. Now, this year, we are proud to provide this opportunity yet again in October, and we are super excited to up our game. New venue, 750 kids this time, and we want to see you there. We're looking forward to meeting you in person at this year's event, which promises, as always, incredible speakers, amazing content, and, of course, some of the greatest kids on the planet. So, mark your calendars for October 24th, and we'll see you here in Chicagoland for the Power of We Symposium 2024. This year's theme is Always Together, Never Alone. Tickets are available now on Eventbrite or at powerofwesymposium.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Whole Living Show. And as always, we have a great show for you today. We are live and we have a special guest backstage. But before I introduce her, I want to talk to you about something that I read today in People. It says, Halle Berry recalls her doctor saying she had the worst case of herpes he had ever seen, but it was perimenopause. So are you in shock? Because I was in shock when I read that caption to see that that's what the doctor told her. And then to only discover that it was perimenopause and to put, a woman in, a state of shock, I'm sure, for Halle Berry. But I'm going to read this article for you because now she is on a crusade to talk about women's health and to talk about menopause and why it's so misunderstood. So it says Halle Berry is detailing the bizarre way she learned she was in perimenopause. So she didn't even know that she was there yet, only to find out that that's what was happening with her body. During Proper Daily's fourth A Day of Unreasonable Conversation Summit Monday, the actress had a candid conversation with First Lady Jill Biden about menopause and women's health. Halle Berry is 57 years old, and she shared that she learned she was in perimenopause after her doctor mistook her symptoms for herpes. Wow. Perimenopause refers to the time where the body starts to make its natural transition to menopause, which marks the end of a woman's reproductive years. She said, first of all, my ego told me that I was going to skip perimenopause. And she said this because she said, I'm in great shape. I'm healthy. I managed to get myself off of insulin and manage my diabetes since I was 20 years old. So that makes one think that, oh, I can handle menopause and I'm going to skip the whole thing. She said she was so uneducated about menopause at the time. She said at the time that she found this out, so this was 3 years ago, she was 54 and she had met the man of her dreams and started dating him and she was sharing details about her sex life, recalling having extreme pain after intercourse. And one day she immediately visited the doctor, and that's when she got the results saying that she had a bad case of herpes. She said to the doctor, I feel like I have razor blades in my private area. She said, I ran to my gynecologist and I said, oh my God, what's happening? It was terrible, she recalled. And she was teasing. She said, there's no shame in sharing her story because she wants to help women. And I guess, finding out that, she did not have herpes, thank God for that. But to find out that she was in perimenopause, she said she wanted to share the story and more so to really get the education out there around menopause. It's so underrated and it's not talked about. And if women aren't talking about it around the table, you usually don't hear anything about it. So Halle Berry said she immediately confronted her boyfriend at the time. However, the couple later tested negative for any transmitted diseases. And she said she realized after the fact that the symptom was perimenopause. She said, noting that dryness is a symptom of the transitional period, which is why she felt like there was razor blades in her vagina. And I'm going to say the word here on television because there's nothing wrong with that word. She said, my doctor had no knowledge and didn't prepare her. That's when she knew, oh my gosh, I have to use my platform. I have to use my voice to bring this to light for all women. She said, I have to use all of who I am and I have to start making a change and a difference for women. She said she ended the conversation asking the audience on her interview, help us change the way culture views women at this age of our life and at this stage. She said back in August of 2023, she spoke to Women's Health also about menopause. So she is now on a crusade to talk about this because it is so underrated, right? People don't talk about it, yet women are going through it day in and day out. And sometimes menopause lasts for a very long time. I've had friends that have said that they have been going through menopause for over 10 years already, still feeling and experiencing the symptoms that go with menopause, and people just don't talk about it. It's not something that your doctors prepare you for. So we are going to bring this to light too. So I wanted to read that article because this is what this show is all about, bringing things to light, shedding light on things. And it is Women's History Month, right? So we want to talk about why there's such a disparity in healthcare when it comes to women. And this is one of those issues that is not talked about, where women are undereducated in regards to menopause and not prepared for when that time period happens. And I, like Halle Berry, just noting being healthy and working out and eating well and taking care of my body. It doesn't mean that you're not going to experience symptoms. Everyone's body is different. So they need to start bringing this to light, start talking about what could potentially happen. It doesn't mean that what happened to Halle Berry will happen to you, but there may be some other symptom that you're experiencing. And they should, just get it out there, shed some light on it, and let women speak freely about it. Don't put us to shame for going through menopause. It's something that happens naturally. And you wonder why the doctors don't shed light on it, why they don't even know as much as they should about it, particularly if you are a female doctor, meaning obstetrics and gynecology. It's something that you should be educated on as well for the doctors out there so that you can help your patients transition from perimenopause into menopause and to live a healthy and a full life even in the later years of life. We deserve that as women, right? We conceive together with the men, the babies, but we carry the babies, we birth the babies. We are moms and we are nurturers, and we are so much more. We are business owners, we are career women, but we need care as well. And we want to get the proper care so that we can be taken care of during this transition time. So I just wanted to shed some light on that. And I thank Halle Berry out there for bringing light to it and using her platform and bringing this to the forefront, because it's just something that is just not spoken about. It's almost like it's a curse, right? And it's not. It's natural. It's a part of our body. It's a part of our transition. It's a part of aging, and there's nothing wrong with it. But we want to be educated, and we want people to get the proper care. So look into the modalities that you can use in order for you to have a healthy transition from going from your menstrual cycle to perimenopause to menopause. And we'll continue to talk about this subject. And as I hear more about her platform, I definitely will share that as well, because I'm sure she's going to be utilizing, doctors and publications that will allow her to speak about this more, shed some light, and provide information. And we will give that information to you here. So everyone out there, I have an amazing woman backstage who also helps women. She uses her platform to help beautiful women entrepreneurs. Her name is Sybil Stewart. She is also known as the Sage Stewart. She is a woman on a mission to turn experts into authorities in their respective industries. She is a keynote speaker, futurist, and business strategist for early stage women entrepreneurs. And in addition to her work, she is a TEDx host, a talk show host, and a board member of Haven House Services. And when she isn't taking the stage, she volunteers with Dress for Success to help women confidently step into the world with style. So we want you to give Sybil a virtual round of applause. We are bringing her on stage. Hello, beautiful.
Hello, thank you. I swear, every time somebody introduces me, I'm like, oh, right, that really is me. Okay, yes. I thank you. It's true. I learned that one this weekend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I'm going to ask you this because this is the Whole Living Show, right? And we just talked about, menopause and transitioning.
Yeah.
I'm interested to hear from you about how you help women as they are transitioning, one from, to employee to business owner, but how you help them, because I'm sure these things come up with you as their business coach, how you help them to manage, what's happening in the rest of their life, like menopause and that transition, while they are managing a business.
Yeah. Right. Because we are a whole person.
Yes.
And I tell all of the women I work with, you are not checking any parts of you at the door. So just tell me what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And what a lot of us don't realize is how our workplace is influencing how our body is responding to things.
Yeah.
So I had one client who was suffering from stress-induced diabetes. I had another client, stress alopecia. Another one, hypertensive. Another one who thought that she was incapable of even having children. And they tried all the things and all the things and all the things, in vitro, you name it, they did it, the drugs. And then she quits her job, and a couple of months later, she's pregnant. So I don't think we realize just how much the stress of the workplace is affecting our being as women.
Yeah.
And influencing how the rest of us, how we're making decisions about our bodies.
Yeah.
And thinking that we have to do, all of these things and take all of these drugs and do all this stuff, when really there are solutions that are within our capabilities, within our body's ability to heal itself, when it's our minds to be able to think creatively. Yeah. So that is a lot of what I do, is help women reframe what they believe are traumatic events. I help them reframe what they believe is imposter syndrome. And I'm like, what do you mean you have imposter syndrome? You got 3 degrees, 2 certifications. Like, right? That's not imposter syndrome. That's called I'm an expert. And I went through the rigor and the gauntlet, and now I deserve to take my place. But society says, oh, no, you're not supposed to. So a lot of the work that I do is just around helping women own the space they're in and then own the ask. And so many of us don't know how to ask because growing up, we're taught, asking is begging, or asking is a sign of weakness, or God's gonna provide all my needs. I'm like, yeah, it also says ask, seek, knock.
Yeah,
So
that's right. That's right.
So really just helping them realize everything they need is already inside of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that you are so aware as a business coach too, and that you can bring all things that is a part of the women that you coach together, to more effectively assist them, right? That it's just not about the business plan, because it's like, how do you get there if you're doing what you said, self-sabotaging, right? If you're doubting yourself, if, so how do you get there? So I love that you kind of bring that all in. So talk about that reframing, like how, give us a case where you've had to, work with somebody and help them reframe their mind. How does that work?
I always say start with journaling, and then I always say lean into your community. And as an entrepreneur, your community is going to look different than you, the employee. So while you're going through this process, it sometimes is difficult to let go of the people who were your champions, because now you need a new set of advocates. And to lean into that process and to hear how you sound to you. One of the things that I say is, how do you sound to you, and how do you want other people to hear you? And if those two things are in alignment, then the reframing process can take place. But if you even disagree with what you're saying, like, it's not true. Right? So that's a lot of what I do, is I just help women hear themselves. And sometimes it's as simple as they say something and I will write it down and I'll say it right back to them. I said, is this what you meant? Oh, no, that's not really what I meant to say. Okay, well, then what did you need from me to hear?
Yeah.
And it's that level of introspection that most people don't take time to do, to say, oh my gosh, I did not know the words that I'm using are also hurting me, are attacking me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And you made me think about something too, because you talked about now their community needs to look different because they're going into, being entrepreneurs. I love that you said that, because when you think about, and that includes family, friends, coworkers, right? Because when you think about that, a lot of people don't understand that journey into entrepreneurship, right? Because we're taught, especially women of a certain age, if you're 40 and over, you were taught to go to school, to get a good job, right? And so the people around you don't get that you have this desire or this purpose to be an entrepreneur. So how do you help them get through dealing with those who don't believe, right?
I know. I tell people their belief is their own business. And I think it's also about finding your voice. And it's not about being disrespectful. It's not about forgetting the people who help you get to where you are. But it's about knowing when to release and surrender and let go. That the things that got you here are not going to get you where you want to go. But that's like any transition in life, right? We change grades for a reason. We go to college when high school didn't serve us well. We get advanced degrees when we realize we didn't learn enough in college. So if you see it as that type of transition, it usually eases the conversation.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I tell women all the time too is, whatever this thing is that's burning in you, if it keeps you up at night, you may as well let it keep you up during the day to go do something about it. Like,
that's right.
I was so on fire, it would keep me up at night. Like, I would be wrestling and then hearing God say, you got to let these people in your life go. And I'm like, are you sure, God?
Yeah.
And that thing wrestled me again. You got it, God. I'm letting these people go.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send them a thank you card, a Christmas card. But when you come from, excuse me, when you come from a place of knowing, for every one person that God said this stage is over, there's 3 more people at the ready who were waiting on me.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to think about that burning desire. That's yours. It doesn't belong to anybody else, right? Those restless nights and the things that you think about, those are yours. So you can't expect anybody else to understand it. But I also like too that, kind of meet people where they are, understand them for who they are and where they are, and let them stay there, right? That's okay. Right? Because they're not necessarily meant to come with you or be where you are. And it doesn't mean that you can't love them in the space that they're in, but they also don't have to go on the same journey that you're going on, right?
Absolutely. I tell people all the time, so often we're told we should dream so big it scares us. I disagree with that, because when this dream was placed in me, that was the most at peace I had ever felt.
Yeah.
Like, your dream should be so big, it should bring you peace.
Yeah.
That is my motto. It can scare all the other people who didn't understand the assignment.
That's right.
But your dream should be so huge that you have an eternal peace about it.
I love that. Think about like what brings you so much joy, right? And where it's like, this is my thing, right? It's God gave it to me. And I would even say to women, understand that you're good at it, right? Like, and appreciate that you're good at it, right? When you think about that thing that brings you so much joy and that peace that you talked about, because that is key. When you're at peace,
yes,
but understand that you're good at it and appreciate that and walk in it, right? So thinking about that part, how do you help women walk in that space? Because some may have that desire, but there's still a little bit of doubt over here. There's still, that little devil on the shoulder. How do you help them walk in it?
Yeah, I tell them, find your voice. And literally, because I had to do the same thing. I had to do a checklist. I'm like, okay, is this Sybil talking? Or is this my supervisor from 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Is this my sibling? Is this the school bully? Is this my parents? And when you understand which voice is speaking, then you know to give priority to yours.
Yeah.
And you'll get in the habit of giving priority to yours.
Yeah. And how do you block out that noise? Because there was something that you said earlier that's key, which is journaling. And even writing down what you're saying. I love how you're saying identify, whose voice is talking to you. Because talk a little bit more about like just being able to block out the voices, or even to be able to say, you know what, and I got a little notepad here because there's always a notepad around me, but to be right, but to be able to say, that's mom's voice, nope, that's my teacher's voice, nope, that, talk about that a little bit more.
I tell people God talks to you in the way you need to be talked to. I was joking with one of my clients, because I said, God knows his child, right? God knows he has to remove all options because I'm a risk like I naturally manage risk.
Yeah.
So God knows I only need one door, because if I see 2 doors, then I'm going to think there's 20. That's just how my mind, for real, there's 2 options. There must be some more. So know how your persona responds and takes in information naturally. I naturally process volumes of information, so there always only has to be one right answer. Otherwise, I will not move. And if you're that type of thinker and you know that about yourself, don't move until you know it is the one right move. Now, if you're a different type of processor and you can filter through, great. Know how you educate, know how you make decisions, but most people don't know how they make decisions. Most people don't know what their true strengths are, their highest value strengths are. And if you sit with that, I just did an interview a couple of days ago. They said, how did you know this is what you were supposed to do? I said, because my 7-year-old self knew that this was me. So when I left corporate a couple of years ago, I did what any reasonable person would do. I picked up the phone and said, Grandmother, what did I want to be when I grew up? Because I know who else to talk to. I called my grandma. And she said, you always wanted to be on stage and you always wanted to advocate for people. Like you were the kid who, when you would see homeless people in the street, you would give them your lunch money because you knew you had more food when you got home. So if the 6-year-old me, the 7-year-old me knew this was me, what happened these last 35 years, right? It's a separation of self. So much of the work that I try to help women do is like, no, you just revisiting who you were in the first place. This is not a new you. This is just a re-invitation to you.
Oh, I love that. And I love that you go back. I love that you take it back. Because if you think about, you know, how we are as human beings and how we start to progress through life, our most natural self is when we're probably, like you said, from birth to probably 7, right, is our most natural self. And then the world starts to get in the way and starts to infiltrate and starts to tell us what we're supposed to be. And right. So I love that you tell women to journey back to discover like who you were back then and what you're meant to do. I love that.
And we think it can't be monetized, right? Because that's one of the reasons why I did not go in that direction. I wanted to be a civil rights attorney. Like I remember telling my parents that, and my parents are like, civil rights attorneys don't make any money. And I'm like, no, really, this is what I want to do. Well, here I am 35 years later. I might not be a civil rights attorney, but the intent behind what I wanted to do is the exact same. Yeah.
Ooh, this is so good. We're going to take a quick commercial break, everyone. Do not go anywhere because we need to come back and continue this conversation with Sybil. I love everything about what you do. And I'm going to say this, right? Because the way you help your clients is refreshing. Seriously, as you are explaining how you go about this, because this is what's going to be the sustainable change for the people that you're helping versus I'm going to give you this blueprint to do a business plan, right? And then, you know, they're like, where do I go? Which way do I go? And if they don't know themselves and they don't know where they're supposed to go with it, and they haven't even tapped into little girl entrepreneur, right? Like, how do they get there, right? So we're going to come back and talk about what you've seen from helping them go through that discovery stage to now becoming that all-out entrepreneur, because I know you catch women in the beginning, you know, either when they're starting out or I'm going to say confused, everybody, because that happens too, right?
Yes.
So we're going to take this quick commercial break, everyone, and then we're going to come back and continue our conversation with Sybil. You do not want to miss this. Stay tuned.
your vision and not other people's expectation. Having breast cancer wasn't my choice, but the decision to live healthy so that I could stand before you here today, that's choice. You can choose this very moment to change your life from every perspective.
Tracy Randolph was our speaker. She came back because so many people liked her first presentation. I was one of those people that joined her fitness group, and it made me a better leader.
I grew up in a community, but they had limiting beliefs on what a little Black girl could do. Everything that you do in this life is a choice. I choose to live healthy. I choose to change my mindset. I choose to be everything that I dreamed of because I choose faith and I choose me. Live healthy, be everything that you can be today. Choose yourself.
And we are back, everyone. And I have to tell on us, Sybil, because I saw we both were coughing a little bit, and I see us both grabbing water at the same time. These are the things that happen backstage, everyone, and this is real life. But I love, what we started before we took the break. And I wanted to say one more thing to you, because there was also something else that you mentioned that was key that I also do with women when it comes to health and wellness is understanding how you operate.
Yes.
You talked about that. That is so key in order to make real changes and to sustain them, to be able to continue to progress in the direction that you want to go in. You have to know yourself. So I want to talk about that, knowing yourself, because I know that that's what you're doing with the women. And then I want you to also go into, what it looks like when you've helped them get through that discovery stage. And then now, they're on their way to being that, whatever that boss lady. I'm going to say boss lady because I love to call all of us women entrepreneurs boss ladies. So when it comes to being that boss lady in their industry.
Yeah, I start with permission. I think permission is really huge and something we don't recognize we have the power of, because we are indoctrinated through the school system to always ask for permission. Mm-hmm. And when you're an adult, you've maintained those same habits, not realizing the permission is now yours. Yeah. So much of this entrepreneurial journey and helping women just start is I'm like, can you give yourself permission to dream again, to think the way you think you can, to think like a child, to do all of these things that seem societally unacceptable? Can you give yourself permission to breathe? I told people the day I left corporate was the first day I had breathed in almost 14 years. I did not realize I was walking around holding my breath, waiting for another microaggression or triggering event or workplace abuse experience. And can you give yourself permission? And then when you give yourself permission, can you choose and accept consequence? Yeah. Because see, we believe we are a society that's conflict averse. I said we're not conflict averse. We're consequence averse, right? Yeah. Because we are taught that consequences are wrong. And there is so much knowledge in consequence. We would cease to exist without pain or consequence. That is our body's way, our mind's way of saying we need to course correct. But rather than do that, what do? We try to get rid of the consequence and we drown it and we call it addictions, right? And it shows up in it shows up in many ways. I don't want the consequence of this bad decision. So then I get something to blame it on. Alcohol, drugs, food, sleep, sex, TV, social media. Can you give yourself permission to choose you and accept the consequence? Now I know you're ready to be an entrepreneur. And if you're not an entrepreneur, because I do have some clients who are not entrepreneurs, now you're ready to be the CEO of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take that. I will be on that journey with you.
Yeah, yeah. And it really starts there, right? Even to be an entrepreneur or to get that promotion at work, but be able to show up in a way that's going to allow you to have grace for yourself,
Yes.
right? And to live a holistic lifestyle, right? To, and so it takes that. It takes being the CEO of your life, right? And bringing all those things together. And because we had such a great conversation, I know that you, and we've talked about this in the beginning of the show, how so well-rounded you bring people into their lives, and look at the whole life before really working with a person. So talk about what it looks like when someone comes to you. Yeah. And you're deciding, and I'm going to say this way, right? Because this is what we do as coaches, because everybody's not meant to be your client coaches, right? So when you're deciding to take on a client, talk about what that looks like.
I always do a 20-minute intro. Like, I just want to say hello.
Yeah.
And the next call, I set the intention up front. I said, I'm just here to help you make a decision. That is how I start the call. Mm-hmm. My intention is by the end of this call, you will be empowered to make a decision. That decision might be, I'm going to work with Sybil, or that decision might be, Sybil's not the right person for me, or this is not the right time. You see, because we think decisions are all of these things. I'm like, no, decisions only got two options, yes or no.
Yeah.
There's no maybe, because the minute you say yes to something, you're instantly saying no to everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of that 30 or 40 minutes, I already know enough about your decision-making abilities as to whether or not you're going to be potentially an effective entrepreneur. And if you're not, I will step forward and say, hey, I can tell you're not ready to make a decision. Mm-hmm. And that's okay too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no woman really wants to hear that,
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that at the end of the day, can I help you make a decision? How can I make a decision?
Yeah.
Process easy for you.
Yeah.
It starts with you giving yourself permission to accept the outcomes of whatever decision you make.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. And so when you have people who are on the fence and you're like, okay, I know that you're not ready to make a decision. How many of those people have come back to you like, you know what? I should have made this decision when you first asked me, but I'm back now.
You know what? Every once in a while I have someone circle back, but most of the time I can tell they just wanted validation of where they are, which is also not okay, right? Because now you're wasting your time and you're wasting my time. Mm-hmm. But if you need a validation call that you're not ready, like it shouldn't take 30 or 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. I can tell you in 5 minutes you're not ready, and then tell you, have a blessed day, because at the end of the day, if there are things going on in your personal background, no level of coaching is going to help resolve that. And that's the other thing that I try to tell women so much is I'm so much more than a coach, right? Like, I'm an advisor, I'm a strategist. Mm-hmm. But if you have things going on in your background that are preventing you from seeing you, I don't care how much money you throw at the problem.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Yeah, that is so true. So true. Oh man, this is so good. So now let's talk about the person who, and I I hate to get off the beginning stages, right? Because it's so good, because that's the key right there. Like, once you can get past those beginning stages, that's where the secret sauce starts to come in, right? And all the things start churning and you start moving and progressing.
Once you realize you are limitless and priceless, we can have a conversation.
Yeah.
Now, are we going to set a price? Absolutely. But once you realize you are limitless and priceless, that's when I know you're ready to have a conversation.
Yeah. And I had put out a post the other day, and of course I was talking about wellness, but I said, like, women leaders, like, you're worth every bit of it. Like, it's already been written, you're already validated. Like, God has already done all of that for you. So once you start to recognize that, then you'll understand your worth, and you'll start moving into the woman that you want to be and see, right? So now talk to us about the process of, okay, the discovery has gone really well, right? You have these women now that are ready to walk into entrepreneurship. What does it look like for them for the next steps of now getting their business up and running?
Thank you for saying walking into entrepreneurship. Those are also my words, because people say, oh my God, it's a leap. I said, no. We don't do leaps over here. We walk. I said, leaping is dangerous. That's how accidents happen. We walk into entrepreneurship over here.
Yeah.
Let's take the edge off of what feels like a risky decision. And that's literally my conversation. What can I provide for you today? Because I got a lot of things that I can provide you to take the edge off what feels like a risky decision. And most of the time, it has to do with finances and all of these myths around entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
You know, because here's the truth, okay? XYZ percentage of entrepreneurs are living paycheck to paycheck, but that same statistic is true for people who work in corporate.
Yeah.
So the question is, let's just say you must live paycheck to paycheck, which life experience do you prefer?
That's good.
I prefer living paycheck to paycheck and knowing that I can sleep at night, that I feel good about everything I'm doing, that I know my skills are being valued, and I am serving the way I am intended to serve.
Yes.
You can't put any money on that for me.
Yes. That you just preached the whole word right there. And I love that you identify the walk into too. And I say that on the wellness journey too. You're walking into this. And I was talking the other day about, it's about the things that you choose, the steps that you choose to take every single day. It's not the leap, right? Everybody wants to leap into the future, right? But it's like, what are you going to do right now today? I'm reading the book, Do the New You, by Stephen Furtick. And I just wanted to read this quote. It says, success doesn't come through superhuman feats of strength or by finding shortcuts nobody else knows about. Success is found in every step you take in the right direction. And that's what I heard you saying. I've been reading this book and it's amazing. But I love that. I love that because that's what it takes to get to where you need to go. It's about every step that you choose to take when you wake up every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, where you want to be 5 years from now, right? It's like, oh, I'm gonna get my degree later. Those same 5 years are gonna happen regardless of whether or not you enroll. And by the way, I am not an advocate for going back to school unless you absolutely need to. So you want to talk about what I also tell these women: stop wasting money on more education. You are already educated enough. You don't need another degree. You don't need another thing. If you look at the Inc. 5000, 70% of them do not have advanced degrees.
Right. And some of them don't even have high school degrees.
And some of them didn't even barely just got out of college and high school.
Right.
And barely just sweep by sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, the acknowledge, which is hard because I'm multi-degreed as well, right? Multi-degree, multi-certifications. It's a hard pill to swallow when you realize you have spent 6 figures on something that is not earning you 7 figures. Oh, I know, I get it. Me too.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do now that you are informed?
Right.
I was reading an article, and then I was also listening to another podcast earlier today. I think it was PwC and another one that they were saying the people who are most fearing AI taking their jobs are the hyper educated because they did not learn other skill sets. Now is not the time to dig in your heels and pay more tuition.
Right.
Now's the time to pick up skill sets
Right.
like creativity,
Right.
like problem solving, like innovation, like being agile.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody cares
Mm-hmm.
if you have another degree.
Yeah.
Contrary opinion.
I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly, especially when you're not going to do anything with it. Because oftentimes, too, people get degrees that are adverse to their purpose. Right? So what's the point? And then you're deciding to walk in a completely different direction because you know the thing that's burning in you has nothing to do with the master's, the doctorate that you,
Nothing. I think the last statistic said something like 52 or 53% of people who have advanced degrees are not working in their degree field, self included. So stop going to school. There, I said it.
Exactly. Unless you know you are going to use that thing, that education, whatever that is, unless that is moving you closer to your purpose, moving you closer to what you are here to do and how you're meant to serve.
Yes.
Don't do it. Otherwise, don't do it. You're wasting money. You're wasting money.
You're wasting time.
Which is the most valuable currency that you have.
That's usually what I'm in competition with. They're like, do I hire Sybil? Which Sybil does not cost 6 figures, right? Do I hire Sybil or do I go back to school? And those clients who say, oh, no, I'm not going to use Sybil, each one of them said, I've decided to go back to school. Wasting time, wasting more money.
Wow.
I'll see you in 2 years when that degree isn't serving you, just like the other 2 that you already have.
Right. I have a friend who's also a coach. She says, if it's not a resource and it's not sustainable, get rid of it. Yeah. Woo. So now talk about, when the women they're there, right? They're there. They're like, Sybil, I need you in my life. I know what I'm supposed to do. I just don't know how to get there. And now you've helped them get out all these things that have been, mind-boggling and heart-wrenching, right? And now they're ready. Yeah. What does the next step look like?
So we can either meet weekly or every other week. But I also don't meet women for more than 90 days on a specific problem because I do believe it's human nature to take up the time that we're allotted. And so I force them into action when I say, no, we're only meeting in this 90-day window. Now you have no choice but to follow through, even if you have a little apprehension, even if you're a little bit, frustrated, you're going to keep going because when this 90 days is up, that's it. We're going to solve a new problem. We're not solving the old one. We're done with that. We're going to solve another thing. And that's what I hold them to. And that's also how I run me and my business as well. And it baffles me. Some of these coaching programs is a 1 year and 2 year. I'm thinking to myself, you're dragging this thing out. It reeks of lack of productivity because I'm very much an action take productivity person. And it's not fair to these women who are making these really significant investments in their future to tell them, oh, you'll see your results in 2 years. No, I want you to see your results in 90 days. And that's actually one of my things is how fast can I get you to where you want to be? 90 days.
I was watching a podcast, listening to a podcast and actually watching it as well. And that's what he was saying. He was saying, how can you solve the problem in the fastest way possible? That's how you operate in your business. Yeah.
And it's not about, I was talking to another coach and I said, it's not about cheating. It's about shortcuts and strategy. I don't believe in cheat codes. I don't like cheat codes. You'll never learn the game with a cheater. But strategy and shortcuts, I fully believe in. Hear them. And I'm also very transparent because I don't believe in working with a strategist who says their recipe will work for you. That's not my job. And so often women are looking for a blueprint. I said, I don't have one. If you want a blueprint, you will find you a blueprint coach. My things are custom to exactly where you tell me you are and
Yeah.
exactly where you tell me you want to go. And I'm going to draw the shortest distance if you take action every single day for the next 90 days.
Yeah, yeah. And I always do the same thing when it comes to health and wellness, right? Because there's no one way to lose weight. There's no one way to, be preventative about your own health care when it comes to managing your stress or, reducing your glucose levels. Like there's no one way because everybody's different. Everybody operates different, which is what we were talking about earlier. And I have this 90-day program, but I tell women like, every week, we're going to talk about how you need to adjust this to make it work for you, right? Because you can't do the things the same way other people can do them and think that you're going to get the same results. It just doesn't work that way. So I love that you tailor it to the person, which is why everything that you do preemptively, right? Like to get them to where now they're in the business, they've dived in, is what helps them get there because it's them, it's their individual needs. So I love that you said that. We unfortunately are coming very close to the end of the show. So I know this has been so good. I want to give you an opportunity to say some final words to those people that are thinking about becoming business owners or who are stuck either in the beginning stages or they've been in business but haven't really gone anywhere. Talk to that person.
Yeah, which I met a lady. She told me it took her 10 years to earn her first 6K in her business. And I'm like, how are you even living? That's bad math. That's bad math. That means you're earning $12,000, $13,000 a year. That's bad math.
Yeah.
The time to start your business was yesterday. Our U.S. economy thrives because of small business. 70% of everything we experience in our economy happens because a small business owner did something. They took action. And I don't believe in side hustles. I believe in hustling it all. And you shouldn't either. But if you do what you know to be true, you know whether or not you're supposed to be an entrepreneur. If you believe that you are called for something greater, then delaying is only delaying your blessing. And quite frankly, I believe in a God who's passing out blessings every day, every second, every minute, every moment.
Yeah.
One of the things I did an interview a couple of weeks ago, somebody said, what's your number one regret? I said, I stayed in corporate too long. God was trying to pull me out corporate 4 years ago and I would not leave.
Yeah.
And it nearly cost me my life. And that's why I'm so intentional about helping women leave before it's too late, because I don't want to see another headline of a fabulous woman taking her life because somebody else tried to minimize her light.
Yeah.
So let your light shine.
Yeah.
So you can help somebody else shine theirs.
Yeah. Oh, that's a whole word. I don't even have anything else to say after that. That is a whole word. You are absolutely amazing. I thank you so much for being here. Listen, everybody, if you want to connect with Sybil, and I think you should, if you are starting out in your business or if you are confused or stuck in your business, you need to connect with her. I'm going to give you everything. I am first going to give you her website. It is the SageStewart.com. You can get everything that you need about Sybil on her website. Connect with her there. Book yourself an appointment. Speak to her. You heard all the goodness that she has to share was right here on the show. So you know that this is the right person for you to get your business in order. So please connect with her. She is also on LinkedIn at the Sage Stewart as well. And then she also has a link on YouTube. And I'm going to put this link on the show page so that you can just click the link so that you don't have to worry about coming back to the show to look for it. But I would say this to you. If you missed any part of this, or if you know that you're like, oh, there was so much goodness shared, go back and watch it again because there was so much that came from this beautiful woman. I'm telling you, you need to connect with her and go back and watch the show again. So here it is again. I'm going to give it to you one more time, the SageStewart.com. We've got her also at LinkedIn, the Sage Stewart, and then you can have her YouTube channel here, which again, like I said, we're going to post this right on the show page, and you can have that available to click the link. We love you all out there. Make sure you stay tuned to The Whole Living Show. More amazing guests coming up. We're right here at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Wednesday. We will see you again next week. Sybil, thank you so much for being here. Love, love, love everything that you had to share. You are absolutely amazing. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Take care.